Welcome to the Spirit World, answering your questions on angels, demons, and how the spiritual and physical worlds interact. And now your hosts, Debbie Georgianni and Adam Bly.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Spirit World. I am Debbie Georgianni with religious demonologist and co-host Adam Bly. And as you heard the clapping as we started this show, we are live on location together in Houston at the Houston studios of Guadalupe Radio Network. So hi to everyone in the studio audience. You guys are awesome. You're all in the studio with us for the Spirit World. So we're super excited about this. This is actually the first time Adam and I have actually been together for the Spirit World doing the show, Adam, right?
Absolutely. It's surreal. It's surreal, but we're finally in a studio together, which is cool. We've been friends for years, and we've done events together and things like that, but it's neat.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So we want also, Adam, we must wave to social media because everybody's going strong, you guys. Thank you so much for embracing the Spirit World. And so we always begin in prayer with each episode. And there's actually more folks coming into the Houston studio. So everybody's we're doing a live show, folks, with calls and everything. It's a lot of activity here. So we start with prayer, and this is how it works. And then we will give the phone number, or I will give the phone number. We'll open up the phone lines. We have a full call screening team today, and I'll share who everybody is. And also our producer, Tim Mott, is at the controls. He's doing a fine job. He's got a lot to take care of today. And we're talking all about Our Lady of Mount Carmel today, given that the feast day is Tuesday. And we have a lot to say about this. So we'll begin with prayer, give the phone number. You can start calling in. We have a very short explanation and teaching about Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and then we'll get to the phones because we want to keep up this wonderful activity that we have going here at the Houston studios. Now, with all the natural disasters, we've been receiving just an abundance of emails coming in to the station asking for prayers because people are still out of power. They're out of their homes. There's more weather disturbances happening all around the country, actually the world. And so we really thought we would do some focused prayer this morning. Adam?
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Saint Medard, patron saint for protection against bad storms, we ask you to intercede for us during the storms of our lives, as well as the storms in nature. Protect our families and our homes. We pray for assistance for the victims of snowstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and other natural disasters, especially now with the impact from Hurricane Beryl. Loving God, send in more helpers and multiply resources and supplies for the aid of those in need. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We have a global audience, so not everybody's aware, but we just had a very large, very serious hurricane here in Houston in the United States, and there are hundreds of thousands of people without power in the heat. And so there's a lot of cooling centers and different work being done. The American Red Cross is doing a lot. So, just be aware of that. And if there's anything people want to do to try to help the folks here through the American Red Cross or your local church, that would be great.
And the storm is actually barreling through the U.S. and going all the way up the coast and the East Coast. So it's tough. It's a tough time for everyone. And so definitely prayer. And we ask all of heaven, all the angels and saints to help, to really help. Okay, so the show team is in place. We have Carol and Lori and Libby and Anna, and they're going to be answering calls. I can actually wave to them because they're in the next studio answering calls. Tim Mott is at the controls, and we hopefully you will call in talking about Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So the number to dial, it's super easy. And, as a matter of fact, put this number on your refrigerator. It makes it so much easier. So then you can just, when the Spirit World starts on Saturdays, if you want to call in, it's right there. 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. If you'd like to talk about Carmelite spirituality, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the brown scapular, Elijah, we're going to be talking about Elijah, anything of that nature, or if you're like a third order Carmelite, something that you're super devoted to, or some of the practices and the prayers, please call in. We'd love to hear from you. But Adam, you're going to begin with a little bit of a history and a background. I just want to say that this particular show is very near and dear to my heart and very personal for me and my family because I talk about her quite often. My aunt is a Dominican sister, and she turns 98 July 15th. And wouldn't you know it, the name she took for being a nun is Sister Carmel. So my aunt, Sister Carmel, if you're listening in New Jersey or watching, happy early birthday. And we really wanted to focus on Our Lady of Mount Carmel. She has a strong devotion. So she's 98, going strong, a Dominican sister. And she's actually the one responsible for introducing me to the holy angels. So
nice.
there you go.
So before I launch into a little bit about Our Lady of Mount Carmel, just to remind everybody why we're here in Houston, we're in town because the Spirit World is going to be the inaugural event of the Houston Summer Speaker Series, which is going to be, obviously a number of different events over time. It's going to be tonight at 6 p.m. at the Lone Star Flight Museum here in Houston, Texas. There are still some tickets available at grnonline.com on the events tab if anybody wants to come. And I believe people can get tickets at the door
Yes.
if they just show up.
Absolutely. Lone Star Flight Museum, it's going to be a blast. Well over 200 are already coming. People are buying tickets today and coming to the door. I'd love to have 300. I love the number, anything with 3 in it. I just love that. So that would be fantastic. So get your tickets, grnonline.com. Search for the events tab, and you'll grab those tickets. They're very inexpensive. You get tacos. There's beer and wine. The presentation. Father Cedric Pizzania is going to be with us. Super exciting. Keith Downey, the host of Morning Joy here on Guadalupe Radio Network, is with us. It's just going to be a blast. So back to Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
So Deb, I think you know this about me, but I love the Carmelites. I have a good friend priest friend who has the joy of being the chaplain for a Carmelite monastery. It's got to be one of the best assignments ever. And Carmelite monasteries have been praying for us in the ministry of exorcism for many years, and I think have provided a lot of that kind of shield of protection. Of course, it comes from Jesus at his will, but we are supposed to pray for each other. And so I'm very grateful to the Carmelites of the world, particularly the ones that have prayed for us in the exorcism ministry over the years. So Our Lady of Mount Carmel, this is a title for Mary as patroness of the Carmelite order, but what is that? So the first Carmelites were hermits. They were living on Mount Carmel in the Holy Land. And just so you get a sense of it, that's about 70 miles northwest from Jerusalem. So, a solid hour and something drive from Jerusalem, you can get to Mount Carmel. Now, this is literally a mountain, and it's overlooking the Valley of Megiddo, which is, when we hear the word Armageddon that a lot of us have heard, that's a reference to Har Megiddo. It's a reference to that valley. And that valley and that mountain were really big deal way, way back for Elijah. So that's kind of where things started, is Elijah had a big conflict, as we know from the Old Testament, with the priests of a pagan cult that were using that mountain for worship. And so God came in and not only through that test showed that God is God and those pagan gods were not real, but claimed that mountain to this day for the Christians, for now Mary. This was Old Testament times that Elijah did this. Elijah is a huge figure in the Old Testament and in the Jewish world, and for us, he was an incredible prophet, a lot of miracles. He also prayed and obtained an end for drought and famine for the nation of Israel. So, and there's a number of other miracles that he was associated with. Okay, so we have that very old conflict in this place being very important, both for the Old Testament and in Revelations. Then in the 13th century, so they had been living there kind of more informally and eventually got a little more formal over time and formed a Carmelite order. And in the 13th century, so now many centuries later, St. Simon Stock, he was the prior of the order. He was the head of the Carmelite order at the time. This was the 13th century, so you're in the 1200s now, AD. They were kind of under persecution. The order was having a difficult time And that happens to religious orders. They sometimes struggle, and God allows that. Mary appeared to St. Simon's Stock, and she basically gave a promise to the apron that they would wear when they did work. So when we say scapular today, we think of the little piece of cloth and the strings. That's actually a smaller version of what it originally was, which was an apron you wore during your work time versus your prayer time. And she said, this is a privilege for you and the order. Whoever dies wearing the scapular will be saved. Okay. So that was a consolation and a protection for the order in a time of persecution.
He received that in his 90s, I believe.
He was quite old, yeah. Yep. So we understand that that is a sign now when we wear the scapular of a sign of communion with the Carmelites, the ones that are cloistered and are doing the first order, Carmelite life, and Marian spirituality.
Right.
Okay. So our feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, which is coming up this week on Tuesday, this is kind of honoring and thinking about Mary in this way. But here's the specific way the Carmelites think about Mary. Their focus in their contemplation is Mary at the cross. Okay, so in those very hard times when she was at the cross, looking at her son, praying for him, unable to help him, and then watching him die. So the Carmelites, their main contemplation is the moment of victory for us, but a moment of great sadness for her, and of course, the agony of the crucifixion. So it's an order that really doesn't shy away from the difficult point of the crucifixion, which of course is, I've said this before, it's the way I think about it. It's the hinge around which history turns.
Right.
It defines our dates and our years, and it defines the moment of our salvation. So that's kind of their focus.
That's why they're such great prayer warriors, because so that's amazing that you just tapped into that. But go ahead.
So the final thing I wanted to say on this, Deb, is some people, and I'm not picking on people, but some people see the scapular as almost like a magical amulet.
A charm.
Like if I wear this, then I'll go straight to heaven. And sacramentals are not like that. It's not a superstition. It's not a magical amulet. Yes, it has a promise connected with it that you'll be saved. And here's the specific things that we now understand. A soul that is wearing the scapular and meeting the conditions of it will be freed from purgatory the first Saturday after their death. So a very fast purgatory, possibly less than a day. Now, time is different in purgatory. We know that from a number of private revelations of saints. But here's the important thing to remember. You need to be wearing the scapular. You need to have chastity appropriate to your state in life. So if you're married, obviously you can have appropriate marital relations, but you need to be living a life of chastity. The old requirement was you then said the little office, which was a daily prayer office 5 times a day, focused on Mary. Now the church reduced that to a daily rosary. And I think some people maybe aren't aware of that. So at the very least, you're praying a daily rosary and you're living a chaste life. So then we can have confidence in that promise. Now remember, we've said it before, private revelation is private.
That's right.
We're not required to believe it, but we can have hope and trust in that in terms of our personal relationship with that promise.
Right. Okay, so folks, this is your time to call in if you want to talk about Our Lady of Mount Carmel, something else about angels or demons or anything in between. We will definitely welcome your call, but please start dialing now, 877-757-9424. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at the Spirit World Podcast. We're waving to all the chats going. All of the social media platforms are going strong. Thanks, you guys. We really appreciate it. When we come back, more about Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
When you find yourself peering into life's rearview mirror, wondering if your past will forever define you, it doesn't have to. Go to standtalltoday.com and register for your absolutely free consultation with one of our world-class life coaches. They can help you get started on a plan forward to living your best life. There's nothing to lose and an entire future to gain. Log on to standtalltoday.com for complete details. That's standtalltoday.com.
Are Christians guilty of hate speech for voicing their belief that homosexual acts are immoral and contrary to human nature? Many in the culture think so. So what can we say in response? First, it's not hate speech to say a particular behavior is inappropriate human behavior given our nature as human beings. If that were true, well then any negative moral evaluation of behavior would be hate speech. But that's absurd. Second, the assertion is inconsistent with itself. Why can't Christians have a negative moral evaluation of homosexual behavior, but yet the objector can negatively judge a Christian's behavior for opposing homosexuality? Isn't he guilty of the very thing he accuses Christians of? My friends, it's not hate speech to say a particular behavior is not befitting of human beings. We must judge actions, but always with respect for the person. I'm Carlo Broussard with a ready reason for Catholic Answers, Catholic.com.
The Spirit World continues with Debbie Georgianni and Adam Bly. If you have a question for the show, call 877-757-9424 or email tsw@grnonline.com.
Okay, we are back on the Spirit World. I'm Debbie Georgianni with Adam Bly. We're talking about Our Lady of Mount Carmel today, and we're taking your calls. We are live today on location in the Houston studios of Guadalupe Radio Network. So we have a live studio audience, and it's so much fun, lots of activity. It's really great to be together, Adam, in studio. It feels so different to, virtually is great, but this is like so much better. It has a whole different feel. And it's great to minister this way with such a worldwide platform. So thank you to EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, broadcasting it all over the world, and all the affiliates that pick up the Spirit World. We definitely appreciate you. We hear your comments, and if you want to email us and give us some ideas on future topics, we'll happily entertain that at tsw@grnonline.com. Remember, don't forget to like us on Facebook, because we post links there, and we're going to post some links on the brown scapular. So they'll be posted on our Facebook page at the Spirit World Podcast. And if you get something out of the Spirit World, please make sure you pass it far and wide, because we believe that's a good use of social media. So we do have calls coming in. Our call screeners are hard at work answering your calls. So if you'd like to join the list that's growing by the second, just dial 877-757-9424. We're talking, the topic today is Our Lady of Mount Carmel, because the feast day is Tuesday, and a lot of people wear the brown scapular. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the brown scapular and the devotion to Mary, and then we'll get to the phones. Now, some calls will be a bit off topic, because we do broaden it. This is the Spirit World, about angels and demons and everything in between. So if you have something going on in your life, if there's something that's strange or odd, and you want to talk about it, this is the show to call in. So the number to dial is 877-757-9424. Did you want to talk anything more about the scapular? One thing a couple things I want to add is, so to be enrolled in this, people should get enrolled into the brown scapular. Okay. So a priest does the proper blessing and prayers. And then you wear the scapular, but it's about your devotion to the Blessed Mother. So always remember, it's about the devotion, not the actual scapular itself. So that's true. Now, it's customary. I don't particularly remember it, because I'm almost going to be 59 years old. So I don't remember it, but it's customary for First Holy Communion for the children to or adults to be automatically enrolled into the devotion and get the brown scapular. So maybe you all remember that as you're at your first communion. Maybe you don't. Maybe you could find out if that's being done at your parish. But that's really a proper place to do it, because then the children at first communion or adults are taken care of with that devotion, and they can start developing their relationship with the Blessed Mother. What do you say to that?
And there's one little extra thing that might be helpful. If you lose the brown scapular that got blessed when you were enrolled, or it wears
washes
out,
off or something, yeah.
that type of thing, you don't have to go and get re-enrolled, and you actually don't have to get a new one blessed. It's considered okay to just get another one and wear that.
Okay.
Because
So I have heard that, and I agree with you, because people wear, you wear it all the time, and so you're showering, you're going into the pool, all sorts of things that could break and everything. And I agree with the enrollment portion. I personally have them blessed again. That's just me. But you don't have to do what I do. But that's just me. I bless everything.
Yeah,
or I have everything blessed, I should say.
Yeah. You can always take the extra step.
Sure.
Absolutely. And I would say if it was me, I would have it re-blessed and have a priest friend have it re-blessed. But you don't have to. That's all.
Right. Gotcha. And so next question that came in is they're asking if we wear brown scapulars. I have mine on. It's actually pinned on the inside of my shirt. I would show it to you, but it's pinned so that it doesn't. I can be on the radio. Do you wear a brown scapular?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Often during sessions.
During sessions.
If I'm going to wear it, yeah. I'll
during exorcisms? Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because at some level, at least, your life is kind of on the line, so you kind of push all your chips in.
Okay, interesting.
So we trust in God, but
right. Something could happen.
Yeah, wow. I mean, historically it's not happened, but if you're rolling around on the floor with Satan, it's a good time to just.
And you did talk about the Sabbatine privilege about the Saturday, because that is in line with that's in line with First Saturday. That's where that comes into play. So I want people to make that connection, First Friday and First Saturday for Our Lady.
Yeah.
So you talked about the Sabbatine? Yeah.
Well, I didn't clarify that it's Sabbatine. Yeah. So that First Saturday is associated with Mary, which is why we have that promise that the first Saturday after your passing, you would be freed from purgatory through that grace of the brown scapular. That's my understanding of it.
Okay. Okay, good. This is good stuff. We've got calls coming in quite rapidly, so we'll get to the phones. We'll start with Bob in just a moment. I just wanted to let our listeners know that there is an open phone line if you'd like to jump in, talk about this, or maybe what your priest had to say about it. I will tell you that there are priests around the country. I've actually met some of them that they're not really big on some of these devotions, these private types of being able to go deeper and to keep the sacramentals near and dear to you, to get closer to the Blessed Mother or various saints or things like that. Because there's other scapulars. There's the scapular to Saint Michael. There's the scapular to the green scapular, the white scapular. I mean, it goes on and on. And I wouldn't let that discourage you. If you feel called to a certain devotion, then that is fantastic. But if you're not, I mean, I wouldn't say that you're any less, like you're deficient in something or anything of that nature. So I want to be really clear, because sometimes I feel like when we do shows like this, or even on just Catholic radio in general, when they promote a certain devotion, it's like everybody rushes out to the gift stores and buys it, right? Because I gotta have it, right? I gotta keep up with everybody. But that's not true. Why don't you speak a little bit about that before we get to Bob?
Yeah, I think that's really important, Deb. So God gives us all these different religious orders and these different kind of charisms or approaches to the spiritual life because He makes us different types of people. So what works for one person might be the Benedictine approach that really clicks for them and works for them in their journey. Another person might be really drawn to the contemplative approach, and so the Carmelite approach to spirituality clicks. And we've said this before. Personally, I don't think it's good to kind of go around and grab every devotion and take on too much too fast. Pick what works for your personality and your journey, and it may change in a different season of life, but what really clicks for you, use that and pursue that, and then see how far God wants to take you with it. But don't think of it like kind of, punching a card and getting all of your different devotions
and
in.
you're not on a race, and really your own personal spiritual development is your own unique plan and pace and everything with God. So you don't have to look to the left and to the right and see how everybody else is running the race. You just run your own personal race, and I've heard that from so many priests, and I love that they share that. And sometimes priests will share that in the confessional, which is really quite an added bonus, and people walk out of the confessional just feeling, I can do this, So that's good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get to the phones. Good with you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're first up is Bob, and Bob is in Pensacola, Florida, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Bob. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for calling, sir.
I have first thing. I'm enrolled in the brown scapular, and I'm wearing one right now. But that's not my question. So, my question is: many years ago, my grandfather, in the 40s, he got an heirloom, an old sword. We always assumed it was a Revolutionary War sword because that's what it looked like. So we always thought it was a historical piece. Had it in the family for years. I ended up getting it and finally had it appraised some years ago. I took it in, and the appraiser said it's not a Revolutionary War sword. He said it's a ceremonial Mason sword. And that kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't know much about the Masons at that time, but I just thought, oh, it's not as expensive or historical as I thought. It was from the 1800s, 1890s or so. And then something just, I was hearing different things about Masons, and I wanted to double check. And I took the sword out, and I found it and researched on the internet. It turned out it was the Order of the Oddfellows, which I assumed, okay, good, that's not the Masons. Well, it turns out they are a sect of the Masons. So my question to you is, I wanted to get rid of this sword. I was going to sell it because I could have got $300, $400 for it, but I decided I didn't want to do that just in case. I didn't want somebody else to get it if there was something bad with this sword. So I ended up, I didn't know what to do with it, and I ended up just putting it in the garbage and sending it to the landfill. And I just wanted to ask you if that ever happens again, did I do the right thing, or what should I have done?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We've talked about this before, and maybe Tim can post the document again, but Freemasonry is forbidden for Catholics. It carries an automatic excommunication. Even if the bishop doesn't know you joined, by your action and by the law, you are excommunicated, which means you can no longer participate in the sacraments. So Freemasonry has been seen by the church as its greatest enemy since as quickly as 20 years after it came into being in the early 1700s, and that's been a consistent excommunication. There was confusion in the 80s because of the language was more generalized in canon law, but it was still in place. Mm-hmm. And then Cardinal Ratzinger cleared that up. Okay. The Oddfellows are basically a spin-off of the Freemasons, and you don't want to keep those objects around because they've literally been used in rituals. I'm not picking on the individuals that joined the Oddfellows because they tried to do kind things, care for widows, bury the dead, and something else, but they also had strange rituals. I know they had, and this I'm sure of, they had rituals where they had a real skeleton in a casket that would be in the room while they were doing some rituals. It was a reference to mortality. The more recent ones would use a fake skeleton, but originally they would use real ones. And there's other things that they act out where they kind of denigrate symbols of the Catholic Church, like the Triple Crown of the Pope from way back in the day, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to keep those around because they've been used in occult rituals, and you don't want to sell them or give them away because somebody could bring that into their home and cause a problem. I have seen problems in homes come from these objects being present in the home. So I think you did the right thing.
Yeah, and Bob, let me just share something with you. I think you did the right thing as well for what it's worth. But in the future, if you feel like you've got something that is possibly dangerous or could be spiritually dangerous for somebody else, wouldn't you suggest to break it first or dismantle it first? But Bob, you had the right intention, so you did the right thing. But I'm just saying in the future.
Yeah. So not to make you feel bad, Bob, but what Deb is saying is correct. Ideally, you would destroy the object and then throw it away. And the reason is sometimes the guys at the landfills, as stuff is being dumped and pushed around with bulldozers, stuff will be seen and people do pick things up out of the trash. And some people dumpster dive and pick things up out of the trash. So if they saw something that looked like a valuable sword, somebody may have grabbed it. Don't feel bad. It's already done. We'll just hope that it made its way all the way to the landfill. But in the future, I would destroy the object and then throw it away.
How's that, Bob?
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being first up on you should feel really special, Bob. This is the first time Adam and I are together doing the Spirit World in Houston at the studios. So thank you, Bob, for being our first caller, and God bless you. Have a beautiful weekend. Okay, you hear that music? That's our theme song to tell us that we're going to hit the pause button. When we come back, we'll get to more calls about Our Lady of Mount Carmel or something else about angels or demons or anything in between. We're happy to answer the questions as best we can, but you got to call us, 877-757-9424. Also, don't forget to post your comment on Facebook at the Spirit World Podcast, and we will be right back.
This is Mike and Alicia Hernan with a Messy Family Minute. It's often said that kindness begins at home, but sometimes this is the most challenging place to be kind. Families' days are rushed, and it seems as if parents are just taxi drivers, getting people from place to place. Sometimes we need to pause and make a renewed effort to form our children in kindness.
One of the first ways to instill kindness is by requiring kind behavior, or as we often say, fake it till you make it. When you require and train your young child to act with kindness, very often the heart follows. Begin with the action and you'll be training their heart as well. Another key element is to catch your kids in the act of doing good. Praise their courteous behavior and affirm their identity as a kind and generous person. Often we focus on catching our kids being bad. We need to be just as eager to catch them doing good.
To hear our 7 ways to form your kids in kindness and our complete podcast on this subject, visit us at messyfamilyminute.org.
Stand Tall is now offering advanced group coaching sessions with master coaches highly trained in life skills. Visit standtalltoday.com and register for one of our upcoming group coaching events. These virtual opportunities are designed to take you to the next level of life in your relationships, career, faith walk, and so much more. Space is limited. Hurry to standtalltoday.com and sign up for one of our advanced group coaching sessions. standtalltoday.com.
The Spirit World continues with Debbie Georgiani and Adam Bly. If you have a question for the show, call 877-757-9424 or email tsw@grnonline.com.
Okay, we are back for the Spirit World live at the Houston studios together. Adam and I are together. Adam is normally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm in Gilbert, Arizona. And we flew in to Houston for this wonderful event that we are going to be co-hosting tonight with just about almost like, I'm hoping it's 300 people at the Lone Star Flight Museum. So you can still get your tickets at grnonline.com at the events tab because we're here and we love to meet everybody from the spirit world. And we have a live studio audience right here with us. It's starting the day off strong. So it's just been a beautiful, delightful day. And we're so grateful to all of the listeners and followers of the spirit world. You have no idea how much we love you guys. You're amazing. And you're sending in comments on social media. So I do have a new pair of glasses. So this is where I'm going to ask for your sympathy. I will read your comments, your social media comments as best I can. If I miss a word or two, please forgive me. I'm just trying to get used to them. I have never worn glasses in almost 59 years. So this is a new experience for me. So bear with me. But we do have a lot of calls, Adam. And we started off with Bob's call, which was great. I think we had a suitable answer for Bob and made him feel at peace. And we'll go back to the phones if that's okay with you, unless you have anything else you wanted to share.
No, that's perfect.
It's perfect.
Perfect.
Adam said it's perfect. So my day is complete. I love that. Okay, we're going to go to Carol, and Carol is in Cleveland, Ohio. And Carol's listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Carol. Welcome to the Spirit World.
Hi, thank you. I have a quick question. What is the proper way to wear the scapular? Can you pin it to your undergarment? Would that be?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and take the first shot at this answer, Carol, because I've had this same problem for many years. I was enrolled in the brown scapular many years ago, and unfortunately, the wool and the type of scapular didn't work for me. It started to get irritated my skin because I had some allergies and stuff, so it didn't work. So I talked to a priest, and I had actually bought one that is. It's probably an imitation gold, but an imitation gold one that you can actually pin on your shirt, on the inside of your shirt. And they said it's suitable. Yeah, technically, there's supposed to be a sense of uncomfortableness when you're wearing the scapular to remind you of the devotion. But, it doesn't necessarily work out for everybody's body composition. And so I've had actually many priests tell me it's fine just to, and I've even had priests tell me that, if you're unable to wear it on you, put it in your pocket or put it in your purse or put it in your wallet and keep it with you. So that's what I was told, Carol. What does Adam have to say?
Yeah, I agree. I've always heard it's fine. You can pin it. If you need to, you can have it in your pocket. And also, as Deb mentioned, the gold there, my understanding is it is allowed to have a metal, like you would wear like a metal on a chain,
Yes.
Version of it now. So there is flexibility. It's more about, yes, there's promises linked to it, but we don't want to get too legalistic and start getting into like, you're wearing it too far to the front, so you're not going to get out of purgatory. We don't want to think about it that way. It's a reminder of a devotion, a living devotion that you're pursuing.
Mm-hmm. And also, and also, Carol, real quickly, the whole going back to the devotion aspect. The devotion aspect is so important, getting in a state of grace, staying in a state of grace, going to confession, receiving Holy Communion, praying the rosary, meditating on the mysteries, all sorts of things to develop or expand that understanding of traveling with the Blessed Mother. That's so important. I do think sometimes people... and it's understandable. We as Catholics, we want to get to heaven, and we have all of these sacramentals and tools and everything to get us there. And so we want everything. We're like, give me everything, all the statues, all the medals, all the rosaries. I want to get there. But it's really about your personal development and journey, your spiritual development, and how close you are getting to God. I can't stress it enough, Carol, because I work with a lot of people that suffer with scrupulosity. And it's so easy to fall into scrupulosity. That's where everything in your mind is a sin. You look at everything and it's a sin here, sin there. And it's very easy for us as Catholic Christians to fall into that. In fact, many saints struggled with scrupulosity. And that's not what God wants. He wants you that Jesus said he wants you to have life and to have it to the full. What does that mean? He wants you to have the confidence and the joy and the love and the feeling of hope, not this feeling of heaviness and fear.
Yeah, exactly. And these things can become a burden. That's why we often say, and I think it's just our 2 cents on it, it's good to pick a devotion that works for you and pursue that for a number of years. Don't feel like you're missing out or you're going to, fail if you don't get every single devotion or say every novena, and it becomes almost like an unhealthy thing where it's distracting from the rest of your life that God gave you. And God gave you a ministry, whether it's parenthood or the good work that you're doing, or maybe you're a third order of some religious order. So basically, our emphasis, at least, is the spiritual journey and the sincerity in the pursuit of that.
Thank you very much. It was very helpful. I like your program.
Oh, thank you. God bless you and have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much. Barbara on Facebook, wave to Barbara. Barbara on Facebook says, listen to this, Adam, so cool. I sat at the table of Our Lady of Mount Carmel when I made my Curcio weekend in 1998, 2 years after my husband died. I remarried in 2010 to a wonderful Catholic man whose birthday happens to be July 16th. Coincidence? I think it's a God incidence. I love it. Isn't that beautiful? Barbara, God bless you. That is amazing. So I love when heaven really shows themselves, you know, and you have these beautiful dates and messages to always remember. Okay, back to the phones we shall go. Oh, one more. No, I take that back. We're getting a lot of messages coming in on social media. How to get enrolled into the Brown Scapular. What is the requirements? What are the prayers and promises? Just to make it easy, because we want to get to the calls today, because we have a full call screening staff, so we want to make sure we get all the calls in. We will post on Facebook after the show various sites that you can visit to see all the requirements, how to get enrolled, and everything about the Brown Scapular. Okay, so go to Facebook at the Spirit World Podcast. And Tim Mott, our senior producer, does such a fine job at posting everything soon after the show. Give us a little bit of time, because we have a live studio audience, so we want to greet everybody. So a little bit of time, and Tim will post it for sure. Okay, Luis, or Lewis, depending on how you pronounce it, is up next in San Antonio, Texas on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Luis. Is it Luis or Lewis?
It's Luis.
Luis, I got it right. Hello, sir. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, ma'am.
Go right ahead, sir.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I lost my mother about 4 years ago, and I was real close to her. You know, real close. I'm the oldest of 12, and we were really close. I think something happened, you know, because I'm 2.5 years older than my sister. So I think my mom kind of went through some rough times there. I don't know. I've never heard anything, or nobody's ever told me anything, but she was always, you know, I was always her favorite, and she was real close to me. So I lost her, and it was, you know, I'm 74 years old right now. Well, 73, you know, going to 74. And I lost her, and she lived to be up in her 90s. And it took, you know, I'm still, you know, I still don't want to accept that she's gone. But 2 years after my mother died, my wife passed away. And that was, you know, now I had two that I had to deal with, and it still is, you know, real. It's hard for me. It's hard. Mm-hmm. And then a year and a half ago, I lost my oldest daughter.
Oh no!
She was killed in a car accident here in San Antonio. A drunk driver, you know, hit her head on. You know, going 100. I think he was clocked going over 100 miles an hour, and she was decapitated. And man, that you know, that just, I mean, the thoughts that went through my mind, you know, I don't want to. You can just imagine, you know, what I felt like, or what I wanted to do, but. I worked at a retail store. I retired, you know, from a retail store, and I'm Catholic, and I always keep an altar at where I lived, you know, in the bedroom. My mother kept one, my grandmother kept one, and before I went home, I was in the religious candles area, and this lady came up behind me. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was a lady, but after I turned around, but before I turned around, I felt like somebody was behind me, and I turned around, and there was this older lady, not as old as I am, but she was in her high 50s, I would have bet, maybe 60. Real, real nice, complete. What her face was just, she.
Have you ever seen her before, Luis?
No,
Okay.
I had never seen her.
So yeah, you want to try to we don't want to cut you off, and we have comments we want to make back to you. So go ahead and finish your story, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Her complexion, was so white, so clean, and then, she told me, she says, sir, you look like you've been, through some rough times, or I can't remember the exact words she said, but she handed me a picture of Saint Mary, and she said, look, I'm going to give you this. I've had this all my life, my adult life. I carried it with me, and it was all wrinkled up. I mean, all wrinkled up.
Wow.
So I had it laminated, and she gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thanked her, and then I was looking at it, and then I said, I'm going to ask this lady some more questions. And when I turned around, it wasn't about, maybe 30 seconds later, the lady wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went around the corner, and I couldn't, I didn't see her anymore.
So is your question, do you think that was an angel encounter?
Well, I'm thinking just real quick. All my life, I could write a short book on stuff that has angelic stuff that has happened to me, and I mean, I could tell you something that happened to me about 2 weeks ago, here at my trailer. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I've all my life, there's been things that.
So Luis, it's a beautiful story. Deb, it makes me think of, two things that I've seen a lot. Mm-hmm. The most common, and it happens to me all the time, something really holy or beautiful gift comes into your life, mm-hmm. or, somehow that comes into your possession. Almost immediately, God puts somebody in your life or a circumstance where you give it away.
Right.
And so God's providence of moving around sacramentals and comforts
as reminders,
mm-hmm. and speaking to the heart of people. This woman carried it her whole adult life, and then she gives it away to this man.
And it was all wrinkled, means she had it for a long time, right. So it's been through her whole life.
Yeah. So, I've just seen this in my own life, and
mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh God, I know you're going to do this. You're going to make me give this away. I pray for something,
right.
I get it, and then immediately it's obvious that where it has to go.
That's why when people give me stuff, I ask them for two, so I can keep one and give one away.
That's genius.
Always. I've done that.
Genius.
I've done that in religious. The studio audience is laughing at you. I hope you're not laughing at me. You're laughing with me. Oh, they're laughing with me.
Good.
Oh, that's good. But it's so true, because I would get these beautiful different articles and spiritual gifts and pictures, and I'd say, do you have two of them? And they'd say, why? Because I want to keep this one, because I know this other one has to go away.
Exactly. So Luis, I would say I'm confident that that's God's providence that came to you. Could it have been an angel? Yes, it's possible, but we'll never know for sure. And we don't need to figure that out either.
Well, but think about this though, Luis. God is using somebody, whether it's a person in your parish, to be open to the Spirit, or the angels, and your guardian angel, and all of the angels, the holy angels. That's what they do. They're messengers. They are doing God's will. They're doing God's mission. So, however you look at it, take it for the result that it brought to you, and that was the picture of the Blessed Mother, correct? So what is that telling you, Luis? If it were me and I received that, immediately I would go deeper with the Blessed Mother. The Blessed Mother wants to walk with you in all of this suffering and all of this pain, and with your daughter and with your mom, and she wants to be your spiritual mother, so closely connected I believe she let this happen.
Right, and specifically under the title Our Lady of Sorrows, which is the core of the Carmelite spirituality, which is Mary before the cross, which is one of the sorrows of Mary. So what I would do is look up the promises of Our Lady of Sorrows, Get an image of Our Lady of Sorrows for your home. You mentioned you have an altar there, and include that in your devotion. Basically, you want to, like Deb said, you want to follow God. If God puts, something in your hand, it's for a reason. It's not just a random sacramental. So God is offering you grace in this healing through Mary in that particular title.
Mm-hmm. Luis, we would love to and feel so honored. We're so sorry for the loss of your daughter and your mom as well. But with your daughter, do you feel comfortable giving us their names, their first names? If you don't, that's quite all right. God knows who your family is.
Yes, ma'am. And it was a picture of Saint Anne. It wasn't a picture of the Blessed Mother.
Okay.
It was Saint Anne.
Well,
it was Saint Anne holding the baby.
The Blessed Mother.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Luis, this is very important because my middle name is Anne, so I'm very devoted to St. Anne. July 26th is her feast day. I would definitely stay close to St. Anne and the Blessed Mother. There's a reason, Luis. There's a reason. St. Anne steps in many ways, and it's very unique how she steps in. So I see that in the circumstances as how you receive the image. So, Luis, keep that in mind for St. Anne, the mother of the Blessed Mother. Can you give us the names of your family members?
Yes, my mother's name was Frances, and my
your daughter.
My wife's name was Linda.
Mm-hmm.
That's she passed away 2 years after my mother had passed, and then a year and a half after my mother had. My wife had passed, then my daughter passed. There was 3, and her name was Jessica.
Jessica.
Okay.
We've
got Jessica Marie.
Jessica Marie. Oh, Jessica Marie. Okay, you've got so many connections to the Blessed Mother and her mother, St. Anne. Luis, they want to be close to you during your times of sorrow and sadness and grief. Know that heaven is very close to you. So please we're so sorry for the loss. We wish we could bring all these people back in your life, but it's a part of how we have to journey through this world. But we can be there for comfort and prayer for each other. Okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Ma'am.
Take care. Thank you, Luis. Thank you. Okay, I think we're almost close to the end of the broadcast. I just want to make sure, and we have several folks on the lines. I'm so sorry, but here's the good news. You can talk to our wonderful call screeners, Carol and Libby and Lori and Anna, and they will pick up the calls for Fran in Saratoga, New York, and Nancy in Cincinnati, Ohio, and the others that were on the line that just dropped off. We will get your questions, your comments for the next mailbag show or the next open forum / mailbag show, whatever works. But we wanted to make sure we gave you ample time, and we're going to be running out of time for this broadcast. Any final comments, thoughts, questions, anything you wanted to add to this beautiful episode today?
I would just encourage people to learn about the Carmelite order, learn about that type of spirituality. Teresa of Avila is a big writer for Carmelite spirituality. Excellent books. They're pretty deep. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget Saint Mary of Jesus Crucified, one of my favorite saints.
Yeah, she's awesome. Mm-hmm. Therese of Lisieux was a Carmelite, and Saint John of the Cross, the other towering figure with developing the spirituality. Teresa of Avila and John of the Cross. They really wrote a lot of the books that became the core. And the Carmelites really give us mystical spirituality in the church. They are the ones that brought that into the church. So pursue those authors, read them prayerfully. There's tremendous fruits there.
Amen to that. So coming up next Saturday, we have a special treat. We have a guest. It's not very often that we have guests for the spirit world, but Father Thomas Loya of Light of the East, the program heard on EWTN, very popular. He is going to share all about icons. I love icons. If you ever get a chance to look at, maybe I should take some pictures of the rooms in my home. Every wall has icons. I am addicted in a good way to icons. And so Father Thomas Loya is going to be our guest for the entire hour. We are going to take phone calls, so that's exciting. Okay, you hear the music. I want to thank again just this wonderful show team that we have in place. Tim Mott, our senior producer, all of our call screeners. I want to make sure I get everybody's names. We have a full house today. Carol, Lori, Libby, Anna, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to EWTN that carries the spirit world across the Global Catholic Radio Network, all of the affiliates that pick it up. Houston studios of GRN, Guadalupe Radio Network, you are awesome for hosting us with this great studio audience and the event tonight. Get your tickets. It's going to be fabulous at the Lone Star Flight Museum at grnonline.com. Okay, that's it. For Adam Bly, I'm Debbie Georgiani. Until next Saturday, have a beautiful and blessed week. We'll see you real soon.